This seems to be a relatively insignificant interest to a major group of people. I said, no, it's the opposite. It's a significant interest to a lot of people, called citizens in the United States. And it's an issue of interest to a cross spectrum of our colleagues in both the House and the Senate, running from conservative to progressive to independent. And so I hope that today, along with Senator Rand Paul, who's here, and I'm thankful that we are co-sponsoring this bicameral fashion, along with Representative Tony Cardenas, Scott Garrett, Keith Ellison. You're noticing a trend here that politically and philosophically there is a unifying of diverse points of view. And then Mike Lee, we hope, makes it, as well as Angus King, as the independent in the bunch as well. The issue of asset forfeiture, civil asset forfeiture, is something that goes back a number of years. Reagan instituted, used it to try to get a handle on the crime that was developed around drug pushing, the money laundering that went on. In 2000, we did some reform, but not enough, because we've seen an advance of, I think, inappropriate use, at the very least, of civil asset forfeiture by law enforcement entities, both on the local and state level, connected with the federal level. To the point that we have seen a mounting up evidence that an abuse has taken place. I think of the Dacos in Michigan, Oakland County, just a small grocer who, because the IRS was looking into the fact that he was making consistent deposits of dollars less than $10,000, because frankly his insurance company said, we're not going to cover any loss above $10,000. So he would make these deposits. Ultimately they came in, they seized $85,000, which is pretty good money, big money, important money to a small grocer, and put him through all sorts of pain and cost to try to defend himself as an innocent man. Ultimately he won that process. But it was a tough go. It shouldn't have been that way for him. We want to make sure that abuses like this don't continue. That law enforcement is resourced to do their job, yes, but ultimately the rule of law is in place that says you're innocent until proven guilty. And we don't see it mount up into equitable sharing instances where there's incentive given for locals, law enforcement agencies, to go to the feds and say, we have a challenge here, like an owner of a hotel, an independent hotel, and a hotel that he had fully purchased and had an asset worth of about $1 million. Local law enforcement saw this. They didn't go after the Hilton chain. They went after this independent. They declared that he was assisting in drug running through his hotel operations. Ultimately, assets were seized. This guy had to defend himself to the point of winning, but going through that pain again. Why? Because some entity in law enforcement saw this as an asset that could provide them resources. We don't want to encourage that, and so I appreciate the fact that these gentlemen have stood with me in supporting this bill that Senator Rand Paul has initiated in the Senate. I initiated last term in the House. I think Senator Paul and myself have been involved with this almost more than anyone else in Congress, and we're delighted to have our colleagues on board with us to talk about it today. So I'll turn the podium over to Senator Paul.